What's up? Hmm. Okay.
Okay, when you say provide, do you mean post it in the chat here and there?
In the chat here and there, people need it. Yeah. So, all
Okay.
right, what's good, everybody? It's Caleb. We are ready to get it started. I got with me Michael. What's going on, Michael?
What's up, guys?
What's going on? AKA Keypalette. Kevin will be joining us later, but today is a feedback day. So, um, the idea here is to give you guys kind of a taste of my class and how I kind of give feedback. So, if you are looking for feedback, this is not the place to do it. I don't do it all the time. We don't know how people are going to be here, but the only one rule is that you got to be here. If you're here, we can do that. So, oh, Kevin's here.
Nope, not yet.
That's the echo. I'm an idiot. So okay, we are good to go. All right, let's get it going here. So let me turn on the where is it? Extension. Sorry, tool timeline and start tool capture. Cool. So all right, we got 6 people in. We're good to go. So again, simple rules. If you want some feedback, if you click on the info on Behance, you should be able to see it. Michael will be posting it as well, in case you want to submit some work. But again, the only rule is you got to be here. Until then, until we get some feedback, I'll just be kind of painting and kind of doing my own thing, and we'll just kind of go from there. And we'll just be just talking about life, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I posted it on the Twitter and all that good stuff. So it should be pretty easy to get in there. And then again, if you have questions, you can just roll right there. So yeah, what's going on, Sarah? How's it going? And then of course, the regular plug. What are we here for? We're here to kind of talk about the class, all that kind of good stuff. So we got the environment painting class coming up. You already know the vibe. It's going to be awesome. June 26th to July 31st. Spots are filling up. It's going to be a good time. So please come through, and we're going to get it going. So what you been up to, Michael? What you been up to? How you been?
Been good. My mom's going in for surgery tomorrow, so
Ooh, okay,
been
nothing,
thinking about that.
nothing too serious. I hope, or just like
I
routine,
mean,
or
it is serious actually, but
it's serious.
that's all
Okay,
right.
well we
Yeah,
are,
it's something she has to get done.
but she has to get it done. Okay, so you knew about it, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like a
No,
surprise.
nothing
Okay,
surprise. No,
okay,
we've
okay,
been
yeah,
planning for it a long time.
okay,
So giving her moral support lately, uh,
gotcha.
and watching more Fast and Furious. Started watching The Wire yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, The Wire.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, I've been watching with my friend Island, as well as
I'm with that.
learning some more Blender stuff, and then doing work for AJ and soon you. Oh, and I applied for 4 more jobs. I got a response back from Probably Monsters. And
Monsters.
what else? Yeah, a company called Probably Monsters.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
was like, did I get the same thing? Because I got an email, but it was from Disney. It was Monsters at Work, and
oh no,
I was like, are we
no,
the same
it's a
company?
studio in Bellevue, I think.
Oh,
Um,
okay, cool. That's dope.
yeah. Um, yeah, the response was like, because it was a general application, they said they liked my resume and my stuff, but uh, they don't have any positions for me at the moment. But they
Mm-hmm.
said that since they liked it, they'll contact me if a position opens up.
Yeah,
All right,
I
cool.
mean that's kind of be like that sometimes, Like sometimes you just gotta wait for like timing. So much of that stuff is timing, you know. So
I'm just happy I got a response because nobody had responded to my first round.
Okay. Yeah.
Now someone has, so that was cool. Anyway, so I applied for 4 more, and my friend Tunser is soon going to recommend me for an ArcViz contract job. So
Okay.
was learning all the skills I need for that. So that's kind of how I've been past week.
Yes, sir. Okay, let me. No one submitted. That was weird. I know people know about it. So hold on a second. So okay, links are in there if you need it. I assume people. I'll post the Twitch channel as well. Let me post the Twitch as well real quickly. Twitch.com/KeelanArt and cool. Let me just handle this real quickly. Sorry. Live feedbacks at boom. Okay, and then let me post on my original post real quick because I know that's gonna be something, and then we can get started. And then if no one has anything, then we're just gonna paint. And then unless someone wants to submit something, then we just go from there. We just talk about it because it's all good. I'm gonna reply right now in the original thread. Boom. All right, we are good. All right, let's get it going. We were painting some. So before we were doing those kind of studies, so I think I might just kind of go with that for now. But yeah, so if you guys need a link to whatever, Michael will throw it at you. Just write in the chat. You know, I don't always give feedback, so if this is your one chance. So if you email me like later on, you're like, hey, can I get some feedback? And I'm gonna tell you no, because I'm like, this was your chance. So hopefully y'all don't squander it. But let's get it going. So that's good. That's good that you're having something that was kind of like you're prepared for. That's always like a good, not say the best thing, but like as someone that's had like some things that were like not like not prepared, like surgeries. I was like, dude, it sucks when you're not prepared. And I was like, so that's good that you guys are kind of like ready for it, at least like mentally, or like you're at least it's coming down the pipeline. Because like there was a while ago where I had that cyst in my back. And it got like infected, and that was like ridiculous. Like that was like the worst like few weeks of my life. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Oof. And like I've had it forever. It was like, I had it forever. Like this thing was like just sitting there, and it was kind of small, and whatever. And then one day it just got like really big, and they were like, oh, yeah, that's infected. We gotta take that out. Oh, by the way, because it's infected, we can't give you any like sedatives to like numb the pain because it's acidic, so it won't work. So we have to just take it out. I got to get into your back and scrape it out with no anesthesia. And I was like, what? So this dude was like digging into my back for God knows what, felt like an eternity. And it was the worst pain ever. I was like cussing at him. And I was like, dude, I was probably scaring everybody in in his office because we're a few rooms over from the patient waiting room. And you just hear me just screaming like in pain. I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, holy shit, man. Like, I was about to, like, pass out. And I was just like, it was terrible. And he's like, oh, yeah, man. That must have hurt. It's just like, bro, yes. Okay. It was terrible. Let's see. Yeah, what's going on, Kev? Yes. Okay. Oh, Sarah's submitting something. Says, I submitted something. It's fan art, but I'd love your thoughts on improving any parts of it. I did a spit paint too if you have any critiques on my painting process. Sure, let's talk about some things. Why not? Hopefully it's environment based and we can go from there. Ooh. So we have here is from Sarah. Okay. Oh wow. This is pretty freaking cool. Yo.
You're sharing your screen, Kaylin?
I need to. Hold on. Apparently I wasn't. I will now. So, yeah, this is from Sarah. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Oh, Genshin Impact. Nice.
What is it from?
There's a game called Genshin Impact. That's what the characters are.
Okay. I mean, this is
So
a very interesting thing. What I like about it is there's this nice kind of like warm and cool right now. Like I like that part about it. That's like really really nice. So here, what I like to do here is usually I'll kind of not do that, but see, so much better, right? Just kidding. What I like to do is to kind of just put something over it so we can just kind of look at it objectively a little bit more. So I think what's nice here, like in terms of the painting, is we do have this kind of nice thing right here. It's kind of split down the middle. That's kind of the angle that I'm getting in terms of it being split. And we have this nice transition here from kind of like a cool to a warm. And so those are the things that I think that I'm liking about it, that kind of that look right to me. Um, I'm more curious about what you don't like about it, Sarah, in terms of like it could be execution, it could be the texturing. There are a couple of things that stand out to me. I think mostly just kind of forms and perspective, but overall, what I do like about it is that the style is like consistent. Like what I'm looking at is kind of across the board, like one set of styles. Usually, when you see paintings, sometimes people kind of doing too much of one thing, and it kind of becomes hard to read. The one thing that I think is kind of maybe we're missing here is I'm wondering if this is being lost in the this little symbol right here. It seems kind of important, and we're kind of losing that. And so I'm wondering if compositionally there's a stronger way. So like it's a nice illustration, and I kind of go from here. I kind of just go into the background, but I'm not sure about the framing or maybe even the perspective of it. So Sarah's saying something that still bothers me a little bit is the angle of the pond doesn't quite look right. Yeah, so I mean, let me see here. The pond doesn't look too bad. I mean, the pond looks cool to me because you have these nice little pieces right here in terms of really kind of getting in that reflection. So I think that's nice. But I think where things get really really busy though is like it gets really busy in this area right here. And so I'm wondering if it's like a cropping thing. So sometimes what I like to do just to kind of see like how it's working is I'll just do like a small little crop. And so I'll do something like this where I'll inverse it. And this is kind of a good way to kind of just check and just make sure that like things are kind of working well in your painting. And so I do this little crop like that. And so I kind of just look across throughout the painting. I kind of like to snipe it and kind of just see where we're going here. So, like right here, it kind of reads pretty well. And so I'm wondering if like you just need to crop it. Like I think that kind of then really focuses on the water, and then it kind of goes off frame versus like you have all the stuff here. It seems like you're trying to put too much into one painting there, I guess, is probably the thing that I get kind of worried about. But I think maybe if we just like learn to kind of see where the crop is, like that might help. But that crop right there like seems pretty good because it's very very straightforward, and the perspective again kind of just goes whoops, it kind of just goes in the background. So I think if anything, I think there's probably just too much being shown right now. I think that's probably the thing that like is kind of maybe throwing me off a little bit. I don't know about you. Kevin, can you see this real quick? What do you think?
Um, yeah. I feel like it's kind of in the middle, and I face this problem a lot in my stuff when I kind of want to show both the background and the characters with kind of the same level of relevance. You know what I mean? So none of like not the background. I mean, the background and the character, they are not like the focal point. So
Mm-hmm.
you have too much of an environment, and you kind of have the characters with a high contrast there as well, like black and white, like value wise. So, like as you said, with the cropping, you kind of focus on one thing, you know. And this is one thing that I've noticed. And the other thing is also value contrast and lighting believability, I would say. Like you have the school coming from the left side, and you have all these like leaf shapes, but you don't really understand. At least I don't really understand exactly where is the lighting coming from. You could
Mm-hmm.
use the light as a like in theaters. They focus on the characters. Like you could think, okay, the light is coming from the left to the right. So have some cast shadows, like of these leaves and the sticks and everything. And right where the characters are, you could have the like strong lighting area, and you could like focus there. And even though you have all these noise in the left, with value control you could kind of diminish or like make it less noise, you know what I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
controlling all like the big area with a low value, make it in shadow, you know what I mean? What you think,
Yeah, I think
Taylor?
you kind of nailed it on the head there, pretty much. Like in terms of there being too much there. So a quick thing that you can do sometimes, I think one of the design principles that Kevin brought up right there is the idea of contrast and where do we want contrast? Clearly, you're
By the
kind of
way,
saying that you want this to be a character piece. So
can I
what's up?
print screen and paint a little too? Like, can I try to paint something?
Uh,
And I don't know if she's gonna allow me to.
you
Ask.
know what? Yeah, I'll give you the
No, I can just print screen it. I just wanna like use some multiply
yeah,
to kind of.
print screen it and then just email it to me or put it in the chat. Yeah, like
Yeah,
here a
here,
second.
here.
I'll here print screen here. Let me make it big so you can see it. Okay, you got
Green
it.
screen. Great. Awesome.
Okay,
Thanks.
cool. So yeah, well, Kev is doing that, and shout outs to Kevin for just being a helping hand here, just to kind of just hang out and give some advice because Kevin's a beast. Um, so the thing that we're
Thanks,
looking
man.
at here is contrast. We want to figure out where to put the proper contrast, and right now the contrast is kind of everywhere. So here's the thing. A good thing that you can do. I learned this on ILM actually. Um, was about figuring out where your darkest darks are. So what you can do is you can make your image black and white. And what you're going to do here is
Yeah.
you're going to take a exposure layer. That's one of my favorite things to do. Take an exposure layer. You're going to link it to your black and white painting. And what you're going to do is you're going to essentially turn the exposure up. And what should happen is over time, your darkest darks will show through. So right now, if I put it at the exposure of like 0.6, I guess that's what we're looking at. And let me zoom out here. Notice that there isn't a clear silhouette. If we can kind of, does that make sense here? Like I'm turning it up like really, really high and your values are kind of like all over the place. And that usually comes from not having a simple statement in terms of like a very, very simple idea to express this painting, you know? And so you want to make sure that when you're painting this kind of stuff that like when you look at it in terms of like maybe a few values, that it really kind of sings to you and it can be very, very easily explained. And something that I always kind of stress in my class is I always ask someone like, "What's your simple statement of your painting? Like, what is like that thumbnail of your painting, and does it make sense?" So right now you can see that there's darks over here, there's darks over here, there's darks over there, there's darks over there, and usually you want to have a gradation. And so I'll give you a good example of this. Let's see, Dylan Cole, is it Maleficent?
Yo, I have some good like artists to show to send you as reference. I'm gonna send on Discord if you want to show them.
Sure.
Like
Perfect.
it's really really simple statement and like powerful composition. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just-
So I'm going to show you guys real quickly while Kevin shows that. I'm going to show you guys a quick little image here. This is from Dylan Cole. He's a matte painter, and he's really, really good. So this image is awesome for a lot of reasons, but if we apply that same idea, right, and we take this and we apply an exposure layer in terms of distance, watch what happens. Notice how the environment appears from foreground to midground to background. So notice how the background, you can't even see it anymore. And as we bring this down, the exposure level, right, you can see it, boom, right? That's a very, very clear read. You can easily see there's a clear kind of thing in terms of the foreground, middle ground, background. And then as we go all the way down, right, you don't even see a lot of those clouds. You can still see just like the mountains. And then when you go all the way down, you see the clouds. So you can actually see, and what you should be aiming for is that as you increase those values, the things that are the furthest away should slowly be kind of being kind of grouped together. And the only thing you have left, again, is whatever the darkest values are, which are clearly in the foreground right here. But notice when you do that to yours, right? If I go from here to there, and I turn that up, like you have a good silhouette right here. But then as we go here into that midground, it's kind of all over the place, and it's really, really hard to understand. And we're not even doing it in a way either that is then highlighting the character. So there's a couple ways you can kind of fix this. Sometimes a good lighten layer or a good darken layer can kind of solve this issue. So I would say kind of grouping the values, I think, is probably what needs to be done here in terms of simplifying. So I always say kind of like you solve your big problem, you solve your small problems, or no, your big problems by drawing small. So that means that you're kind of looking at it like at this distance, and you're drawing very, very small to fix your big problems. And you solve your small problems by drawing big. So right here, you have small problems across the board. So that means that you'd want to draw big. So drawing big means you want to get a big brush, and we want to make broad strokes on here. So the idea of that would be just kind of taking a softer brush and just kind of experimenting here. And we're just going to take this, and we're just going to kind of simplify this. I don't want to add probably any kind of like, why can't I sample the right color here? What's going on?
I'm not gonna show what I'm doing here because I think you're going for the same direction that I'm going. It's gonna be so cool if that happens.
Okay, right on. Why
Yeah.
isn't it? Oh, why can't I sample? Why can't I sample the color? Huh, that's interesting. Am I tripping? Why can't I sample the color? That's really weird.
It is weird.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm dumb. I have it on current layer. See? So sometimes what you if I have a bunch of if I'm painting a bunch of stuff and there's a lot of texture, I change this to current layer, so that way it won't affect what you're selecting, if that makes sense. So like if you have like a layer and it has like color dodge and all these textures on it, and you want to paint the actual color of what you're selecting underneath it, you can do that with this right here. So if you do current layer, it will only select what you have, so it won't be affected by everything else. Has that ever happened to you where like you're painting something and you want to sample it, but then when you paint it, it's not the right color because what it's sampling is the combination of all the different blending modes on it? That solves that issue. So anyways, so now we're good. So now if I go here and I just put it on darken mode here, and I'm not even gonna I don't want it to be too saturated or anything like that. All we're trying to do is we're just trying to kind of like darken some of these values up here and just see if we can kind of just group that up just a little bit more. So this might be like a little bit too much. So obviously it's kind of getting a little bit weird there, but it's kind of what we're looking for. So in theory, maybe what we want to do instead is probably like a multiply layer. I think that's probably what we want to do. And then we're probably going to turn the saturation down a little bit, and we're just going to kind of just work that in a little bit more here. And hopefully what that does is it kind of just like slowly but surely kind of like kind of vignettes it a little bit more. And I'll just make this a little bit softer. So that way it kind of fits a little bit more, and it's kind of just less noisy, I think is kind of what we're looking for. And then that way, if there is light, it's coming from this direction right here. And then what should happen is our lighting should kind of come from this direction, like there. So there will possibly be some shadows here coming through. Now, if you want the light coming from the other direction, you'd probably change the camera angle a little bit, and the light have to come from this way, and this side would be dark. But that's definitely something that I want you to think about in terms of when you're doing that. So Sarah said, yeah, I still need to work on my separation between foreground, middle ground, background. Yeah, the pain of having the wrong eyedropper selected. So yeah, overall, I think the piece is like pretty cool. I think there's probably just too much kind of going on in terms of making that work effectively. What's going on, Vice Kid? Thanks for coming through. I appreciate it. But let's see here. Kevin, you said you had an image, right? Did you post something in the chat or not?
I posted not the paint over, but an image showing up like a really good composition is always a bold, simple statement.
Okay.
It's I published on the Discord call.
Oh, is it Connor Cross?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it.
Look how simple the sketch is, like in terms of value and contrast, and then like the rest is like all polishing, you know. Like once you have this like simple and with a focal point and clear. I always like how Native folks talks about it. It's always high contrast and like it has to be like read in an instant. It has to be read fast, Because when you think about art for entertainment, usually like it's a movie or it's a game. And when it comes to environment for movies and games, like you have everything like kind of moving and the story is happening, you know. So if you don't have things to read fast and clear, the audience won't have the time to figure out like what is going on that illustration or on that concept or on that environment, you know. So that's why it works so well to have bold and simple instead of like everywhere complex, over detailed painting. Which in the final version of this sketch, you can see that there's a lot of texture there. Like it's so detailed, but at the same time, the foundation, which is the bold contrast, value contrast, is still there. So that's why it works perfectly. Yeah.
100%. And I think if we grab this image here by Connor Cross, shout out to Connor Cross, we do the same thing, right? We make it black and white, and then we do that same thing with that exposure layer, which is always a great thing that you can do to kind of just check up on something. I mean, just see how well that still reads right there, you know? Like as we go through and we get to like the darkest darks of the area, I mean, it's still pretty much like that right there still reads pretty well. So this probably needs to be a little bit lighter probably, but even then you can still see the character like very very well. And then again, once you get right here, it's like boom, right? It's a simple read. You can easily understand what's going on with the composition. So I think that's what you want to be like kind of aiming for right there. And so I think that's what he does really really well. Um, and so yeah, so Sarah said she did start with a thumbnail, but she got a little bit carried away. Yeah, that's totally fine. So I think the biggest thing here is when you're doing this, it's just to kind of have a better grouping of values. I think so. Normally, like if I know that if I'm drawing something right, and I go, okay, well here's my perspective, and I want to establish that. I think your perspective's kind of going in this direction. It's a kind of a high perspective, it kind of feels like. So I would just kind of get like the basics down of this. Like it doesn't have to be like super accurate, but this is where I would definitely live in terms of like really trying to kind of make this thing sing and really think about the angle. So if we are, so actually yours kind of has like this roundness to it, I guess. But let's just say that we're gonna ground it a little bit more. You clearly have a nice nice colors. Your colors are really really nice. And so what I would be thinking about is just really kind of just breaking down these characters. Nope, we're not doing that. So what I would be thinking about is, again, that simple statement. I'll just get like a couple of different values. Boom, and then boom, and then what we want to have here is just the pond, right? So we have that area right here. And actually, let's, for the sake of argument, let's see. Let's make this like a lighter value. And so this is definitely a very low-key painting with a high accent. So that just means that the painting is going to be naturally like very, very dark. So what I would be doing is I would be thinking about the contrast and where I can get like just some visual interesting things. So Sarah's asking, how are you clicking and dragging a straight line like that? It's called the line tool in Photoshop. Yeah, the line tool. Oh, so that wasn't a line tool. That's just me holding down shift. So if you tap once and then tap again, it makes a line. Tap once, then hold on shift and tap. It will connect where you next touch. So that's kind of how you do it. So you just tap once and you hold on shift and tap again. You tap once, hold down shift, tap again, tap once, hold on shift, tap again. It makes the line for you. So yeah, so I would be kind of sitting there and I would be kind of just working on this kind of pond, and I would use this perspective. So let's kind of just make this a little bit nicer here. Cool. And let's turn on the flow. So clearly, like, what's going to be happening here is, like, we're going to have this nice little area of this pond. And I just want to find some kind of really unique shapes here. And then the next thing I would do is then maybe figure out some of the plants as well. So I would probably think of it maybe like a few different trees, one on each side. So I would kind of do it like that, right? So I'm just kind of just breaking down some of these trees, and I'd be kind of thinking of it in this direction of like where like how much overlap am I going to get here, and I'm thinking about the different elements that I have and how I can kind of lead the eye to the painting. So right now, like the first element that I'm thinking of is the trees, and so I'm like, cool, the first element I have is like trees and roots. How do I kind of use that to kind of lead the eye throughout the painting? And so if I want my characters to kind of stand like right here, and I'll just make these like two kind of just blocks here, I want to figure out how do I kind of like frame that in a very interesting way. And that's what I would kind of just focus my time on. And granted, you would probably have, let's see here, you probably want to use your elements of the lily pads. I think the lily pads were kind of a missed opportunity that I'll be kind of working on here. So like for me, as I'm kind of just messing around with this, like some simple statements, I would do something like this where I would take another layer, and let's see here. Boom, cool. We'll take this. The lily pads would be a little bit darker, so let's go a little bit like this. Cool. So yeah, so we have this right here. Boom. And then what I'll do is I'll just take it and I will add some spacing to it, just like so. So let's just imagine these are lily pads here, and then I would take those guys and I would just put them in perspective, like that, with the distort button. And I feel like that's a really cool idea in terms of like where we could be putting some of these like lily pads to kind of lead the eye. And then I want to also be thinking about like, you know, do we want to have it like completely light or that kind of stuff? So, you know, even here I might even go through and I'll do a bunch of these too. So like right here, I'd probably go get some reference at this point because I'm already thinking about like soft values here. So I'd be doing stuff like this where I'm going through and I'm thinking about just like the reflection and stuff like that. So maybe there's like, you know, water reflections kind of happening, and I'm thinking about how that's going to look. And then the same thing here, I'm grabbing stuff and I'm kind of just, you know, thinking about those kind of water reflections that we might get. And at the same time, as I'm doing that, I'm kind of just breaking some stuff down here. And again, I'm really thinking about just, again, the overall framing of these nice pieces that you have and thinking about how I want to frame the environment. And that would be kind of like my simple idea for now. And then I would probably just kind of layer it and kind of just, you know, go from there. And then what I'm thinking about here too, before I let Kevin real quick come in here, is that I'm thinking about the framing. So right now that's kind of my framing element, and I'm not sure if I even want that, but at least I'm kind of conscious of it. And then I would do another one and think about, okay, how can I frame the scene a little bit better? So what you did right here was really nice, is that you had that lighter area. So that means I would go in there and I would think, okay, well maybe there's going to be you know, some light in the background, and maybe that's going to frame it in a visually interesting way. And so then I just kind of keep going, you know, one after the other until I get something that I really, really like. What's up, Kevin?
I've sent the paint over. I want you to comment on it before I say anything. What you think? It's on a Discord.
Yes,
Basically,
sir.
yeah. Instead of using the light coming from the back, I basically made the light coming from the top, and in the background further. Are you showing? I don't know
Yeah,
if you
I'm
can
grabbing
hear.
it right now. 1 second. What you did is actually really, really freaking good. This is why
Yeah,
Kevin is also
I lighted the
a good
characters.
teacher.
Yeah,
Wait, where
to
is it?
make them pop against the darker background, like
Okay,
the
here
grass going.
we go. Yes. Look at
And I
that.
also decreased a little bit the contrast, kind of like making the occlusion shadows less darker in the left side, so we kind of like cleaning a little bit the information there, so we kind of have the focus on the right side too, and
Yeah.
pushing a little more to the atmosphere there. But yeah.
Yeah,
But,
that
but
looks
basically,
really
what I just did
nice.
was value work. You know, there's all sorts of things that you were just saying, like using elements to create overlappings and give more sense of depth, and then pointing elements to the main focal point and all that. So
Yeah, I think what you did
that's
was really good here. There's a lot of good information here. Like I'm getting that left to right And no longer is this competing for my attention. I automatically know like this is something that I'm seeing. I focus on here. I focus on that. Everything else is kind of just falling to the wayside, and it's very, very simple. So yeah, so you can still kind of keep that there, but just notice how again it all kind of just slowly kind of comes through. And there's some nice movements here too that I have to kind of acknowledge here. Like I like how there's a couple different things that are going to the focal point, and I'll put this in like in blue here. We're talking about the elements here. There's a nice little kind of rhythm right here. There's a nice rhythm right here. There's another rhythm in the circle that's going through it, and then there's a nice rhythm which is kind of like in this direction, which is right there. So a lot of things are kind of slowly kind of pushing towards the character, and I think that's what looks really, really nice here. Even like these kind of strokes, if you kind of follow them, they're still kind of falling to the character. We see some of these little bits of contrast. All these things I think are working pretty well. And then we have these little hints here of these lighting too that he's doing very intentionally, that is kind of slowly leading us to the character. So what I like about it is that everything is like super, super intentional. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see you, Sarah, maybe try it again. I think what you can do a lot of times is I learned so much from doing the same painting over and over again until I get it right. And if you watch some of my older streams, you'll see me kind of do the same painting. Recently, I did the same painting like 4 times, and each time I learned something new about how to possibly approach it. And of course, the last time is when I really, really got more comfortable about it. Vice Kid says, "What's the tool you're using to do the study?" I'm just using just a simple graphic brush. It's just a let's see here. It's just a chalk brush. That's all it is. So that's the brush. This is the brush that I usually use when it comes to kind of concepting, especially when it comes to doing compositions, just because it's a very, very like kind of easy brush to kind of use. It's pretty straightforward. So that's why I like to use it. It keeps me pretty honest, and yeah. So also that's a big brain way of doing it. So yeah, so thank you, Sarah, for putting yourself out there. I really appreciate it because yeah, you were
Beautiful work.
Yeah, beautiful work.
Beautiful
You were
work.
the only one. And let's see if so if you came late here, we are giving out feedback. If you click on the info section of the Behance profile, there will be a little drop box if you're looking to submit some work and have it kind of looked at. You just have to be here. If you're on the Behance and stuff like that, just write me in the chat and we'll figure out a way to get you a link that we can then post, and then you can submit something too. So we'll just leave it there, and then we're good. But yeah, that's pretty good stuff. And then you know what? If it's okay with you, can we save this for her? Is that would that be okay, Kevin?
Sure, 100%.
All right, cool. We'll save this.
I love to give feedback.
Yes, sir. All right. I will save this. Oops, we don't need this here. What did I just do? I'm dumb. Okay, I'll save it to my desktop, and then we'll figure out the rest later. I'll save it as like a JPEG. Save it as a JPEG, and then we're good to go. Cool. And let's see, is there anybody else? Kind of a lower turnout, but hey, if they can't ask later, don't ask me now. Okay, cool, we're good. You don't need anything, right, Michael? You're good. You don't need any feedback, right?
Yeah, I'm good for now.
All right, my man. So yeah, let's just paint. So yeah, maybe we could just work on a nice little pond thing right now, because I think that would be a good way to kind of just keep the same vibe going. Yeah, Sarah said, I would love to get the file to reference. I took a screenshot though. If it's too much, don't worry. And yeah, cool. And then let me make sure that no one's submitting something across the board. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm just on my other page, making sure.
Will Richards says they uploaded something. Will Richards.
Will.
Oh my god! For a second there, I thought you said Paul Richards.
I was like, Paul, you're a dick, because like, of course, like, I was like, Paul would be like, here's this amazing painting, and like whatever. Hold on a second, Will. Let's see real quick. File request, feedback Tuesday. Hold on. Did you submit? Hold on a second. So apparently Will got something submitted, so we'll look for it real quick. File request, feedback Tuesday, and we'll go by sort by date. So I don't. So is yours the aquarium? Is this what it is? Is this the aquarium? Ooh. Okay. Very interesting. I will something, but I don't know if you got it. Okay, I wish. So you weren't the aquarium. So which one is yours?
No, it might be the aquarium.
Oh, it is the aquarium. Okay, cool. We'll wait for it.
It might be. I think that response was to the Paul Richards comment.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, that's me. Yeah, we all wish we were Paul Richards at the end of the fucking day. Let's be real here. So yeah, very cool thing here. That's interesting. So it says, I don't feel like this painting is finished, but it's the point where I've gotten nothing else to add. Okay, cool. So we have this aquarium and it's abandoned, right? Is that what I'm getting at? So let's look up the Pier 39 aquarium. So I think what we want to do here is we want to probably get some interesting reference and see what we can grab from it. So what I just grabbed right now is I'm looking at some things like this. So I'm looking at my local aquarium, which is in San Francisco. And there's a lot of like kind of cool visual interest stuff that I think we're kind of missing out on, that I think we should try to aim to have here as we're going. So I think this one has some really cool stuff in here. Same with this one. So let's grab it. So normally, like, if I feel that something isn't right, then the first thing I do is I just grab reference. So I kind of just look at it. And so it's kind of a big important part is just being able to kind of like properly assess what makes something look visually interesting. And so aquarium. Yeah, so I love stuff like this. It's like when I love aquariums because like oh wait, what the hell? Hold on a second. Open a new tab. Aquariums are like super cool aquarium concepts because the lighting is so like intense. I always think that's like super cool when you see it at first. So let's actually get some more reference. So yeah, so let's take a look at these ones. What's up?
Strong light is always a good opportunity to create strong contrast.
Oh yeah, aquariums are like my favorite for that. So we have an aquarium right here. We have an aquarium right there. We have an aquarium right here. So I think what was kind of a missed opportunity here was the fact that we probably could have had these guys possibly silhouetted. And right now there's too much light everywhere you go. And I'm wondering if there's a way to kind of like subdue that a little bit. So I kind of like the idea of it being more of a tube because most aquariums are kind of tube like that. And what I think is also really cool about these is that they always kind of curve a little bit normally. So if you look at this one right here, like it goes and it kind of curves inward. And then my first question is, did we have perspective? Did you draw like a grid when you drew this one out, or did you kind of eyeball it? That's probably my second question, is like how you went about that. So I think there's probably too much space, I think, honestly, when we're kind of looking at this. And so I'm not sure about the green color. I get it. It's old and it's abandoned, but I think we should get more kind of like roundness, I think, in terms of like that and kind of get that that nice flow. So what I'm kind of thinking here is when I'm thinking about this, I'm going like, how can I get that nice flow in that direction? And so then with perspective, I would kind of just do it like that. And I would definitely get some kind of lines going, and I would probably kind of keep it a little bit more lower, honestly. So I think right now, and this is kind of my opinion here, is that it's too much in the half, and I feel like it would be cooler if we did it like this, where this is a simple statement, by the way, where if there's more space above, like that.
It's all about your story and what you want to show. Like, are the characters and their interaction more important to you in the scene? The fact that they are looking through the glass and their expression, or you wanted the audience to be like, okay, what they are looking at, and that's what is interesting about this scene. So that's probably what Killing is going for, like a huge whale or some like insane shark or whatever, and the characters are less important. So it's always important to be clear, really, really clear about what is the message. I think that's one of the things as well.
Yeah, and so going back to what Kevin just said there, a good thing that you want to ask yourself is, why are aquariums cool in the first place? Like, these are cool because, for the one thing, is that when you're walking over it, you feel like you're surrounded by water. That's why, like, aquariums are kind of cool when you walk through these is because when you're walking through it, if you're a kid, the kid is looking upward. They're not usually looking to the left or right. They're looking straight up, right? And they see these things kind of tower over them, and they swim around them. So you're literally surrounded by water. So I think you want to create that this vibe here of like a 70-30, or instead, if we were to kind of just make this into a simple, right now you kind of have it like, yours is like, this is kind of your simple statement right now in terms of the values. It's kind of like that. It's like, it's half and half, right? It's kind of going straight across, versus I would say, let's go further with that, and let's make them a lot smaller, and kind of really focus on just the water kind of crashing down on them. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about here. And so that's why this angle, it kind of makes them a lot smaller, but you can see how this would eventually just make them, could really focus on the animals going across. So I think I'd want to like kind of highlight like just the vastness of what an aquarium is. So now that I kind of have this idea, that's where I would go in. I would think, okay, well, the perspective kind of has to be visually interesting. So what I would do is I would do a few simple statements. And so simple statements are very easy. They're just thumbnails, right? And so we already have some interesting colored ideas that we can do. And we know that it gets a little bit darker on the edges and stuff like that and whatnot. And then what I would then do is I would think about, okay, we could probably just kind of color sample here. And, you know, you don't always have to color sample. You could just do your own thing, but I'm just doing it for the sake of time. But, you know, I'm just kind of eyeballing it at this point. Like, I don't really, like, care too much. I just want to see if I can kind of get that vibe to kind of work. And so right now I already kind of messed up.
You know what I like to do too, like for like people that are starting out as an artist, I think it helps so much, is like you pick up a piece of an artist that you really like, that has the feeling or the kind of the perspective and the composition that you're going for, and then you change on top of that the subjects and the characters and all that. Like for instance, I was looking here, I just sent you on the chat a reference where like it could be easily an aquarium location. You know, the characters like walking in the distance and smaller, and all this huge place around like full of details and animals, you know.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one right here.
You could easily, yeah, you know.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
See the line, the horizontal line, it's in the thirds, the bottom third. It's not exactly in the middle, and the characters are not exactly in the center. There's all sorts of like amazing things going on there. So
there's a little cheat code here that Kevin is kind of giving away, which is sometimes there's a composition that you already like, and you're just like, let's just repurpose that for what I want to do. So all I have to do essentially is I have all the perspective that I need. It's all right here. It's all given to me. I can understand it. It's easy peasy, right? And then we have two characters, and these can just be placeholders, right? Because we're not going to just jack the characters, but we just want to have like just the idea of the characters. What we like about it is the scale, right? we don't care about the design. We care about the proportions, right? We care about how big they are relative to the environment. So we have these two characters, and we have perspective, and that's kind of all we need right there. So we have the design principles that we're thinking about right now is perspective, I guess, is kind of not a design principle. We're thinking about perspective, but mostly we're thinking about proportion. Proportion is really important here. So proportion, boom. So now that we have that, we can begin to kind of think about, okay, well, just like we have this kind of in the background right here, well, let's just kind of round that out instead. So instead, we're just going to do that. And I'll make this in red so we can kind of see it. In purple. I'll just make it in purple. Boom. And there you go. And then now what we can do is we can just go over, right? Just like that. So it's okay if it's not like 100% like accurate, but just like that, we now have like an aquarium idea, and we didn't have to do too much work for it. So we just have this nice little perspective right here, and we have a nice little railing that we can kind of create, and look at that. And then we can just turn this off, and then we're good to go. So look how much more space we have now as soon as we kind of crop it now. And what that's going to give us is it's going to give us this nice little spacing now that if I want to kind of just, just build in some kind of, these little things right here, these little walls, all that kind of stuff. And I'll just make this a little bit darker so we can kind of see it. And these are very, very rough paintings for me right now. It's not even like a painting, but it's more so like a layout. And so for layout, what we're trying to do is we're trying to plan the shot. We want the shot to kind of
the bones of the painting, basically.
Exactly, right. This is just like the meat and potatoes, as AJ would call it, where we're just gonna really kind of just focus on just breaking down. And it's an interior too. So with an interior, the first thing that I always want to do is just break down like the walls, right? What are my boundaries? So what's the ground? What's the ceiling, right? All that kind of stuff. And so already we are focusing here, and this is probably will be where I live, honestly, for most of the painting until I get something that like really makes sense to me. And then now we look at this proportion is we can really figure out the water too. Go on, Kevin. What's up?
I've just sent another reference. You don't need to like draw over that, but like again, the composition and the sense of scale and amusement you can use as a reference to create your creating,
And so I think what Kevin's kind of bringing up too is that you can get inspiration. This is a really important thing too, is that you can get inspiration from anywhere. It doesn't always have to be that exact topic. And so if you are awake, is what I call it, if your eyes are really open, you can see things in your everyday life that you can then incorporate into your drawings. I do it all the time, right? I'll look at something, I'll see a tree, I'll go on a walk and I see the water doing something, and I'm like, wow, that's a really cool idea. All right, I'm gonna keep that in my mind. I'm gonna put it in my memory bank, and I'm gonna save that for something later, right? So a lot of times, a lot of you people live in like really cool places, and you're walking by these amazing things that can give you so many ideas, but you're not paying attention. And so this is a great example of, right? Kevin saw a, and let's go through the thought process here, right? Kevin saw an aquarium, right? He saw this painting from Will, saw an aquarium, and said, "Oh, you know what? This painting that I saw a while ago would fit perfectly there." And then he found it, he brought it in, and he's like, "Let's do it like this." And right there, those few steps are like, and the feeling what you said, right? He saw it, he's like, that feeling is what I want to have here. And that's a really, really important skill and a soft skill to have, is being able to evaluate paintings, know why you like it, and save that idea for when you can do something later. Because a lot of times compositions, it's kind of hard to be creative. A lot of times it's doing stuff like this. You're taking things from your inspiration, from whether it's real life or from other people's work, and you're repurposing it to fit what you want to do with your own. And so I think what Kevin did here was really great, is that he found an image that he liked, and he said, "Yo, this painting I think fits perfectly," right? And this is by Leah Chen, who's an amazing artist. It says, "You know what? I don't need to paint all this stuff. What I want was the proportions." And again, why Leah Chen's painting is so good in the first place is it's because the proportions are really, really solid, right? It falls in that third. It's really, really nice. You can easily see how it's kind of blocked out. There's a little bit of space right there, right? And that's why her painting is good in the first place, is that there's a really nice set of proportions that make sense in line with the character, right? We can see the simple statement here, and it works really, really nice. And that's what he's trying to kind of instill on you, is to incorporate that here, but instead of making it a tunnel or an alleyway, let's just make it an aquarium. So now if we go in here, now we get to focus on the cool stuff, right? Now we get to go here and we get to say, oh, you know what? Let's focus on this really nice silhouette that we get now because of it. And that silhouette is what? The silhouette's gonna be this freaking blue as fuck, like, you know, aquarium that we didn't have before. And now check that out. And then now we get to then really kind of emphasize some things. You know, if you have the proper perspective, you can now break that down, and this will probably be bigger, obviously. Probably a lot
and
bigger.
different, like in the Alia Chang painting, it's a city, so it's a different set. And in this case, since it's aquarium and the kind of the top of the tube, it's water as well. Like you could make a giant, super interesting, like amazing whale or whatever, and it's going like it's crossing the whole screen, and you have these beautiful lines creating the perspective as Kayla is doing, and this sense of okay, look up. You brought that to the painting, you know, which is exactly the feeling that you have when you go to an aquarium, you know.
Yeah, and so now I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna paint this Shamu looking motherfucker right here, and I'm gonna fucking, right, just have this thing, this massive thing just going across, and I imagine what that must look like, you know, having this massive animal kind of just floating across you, and then it has all this light on it and stuff like that. And now not only am I drawing from this inspiration from Alia Chan, I'm drawing from this stuff right here too, right? I'm looking at that inspiration, and I'm like, you know what, I love that little highlight right there. And I want to use that for my painting, and I want to kind of keep exploring that, you know? I love the fact that we have smaller fish too, right? And it's like these fish are kind of in the foreground, so they're catching light, but these ones aren't. So I love the idea of having some smaller light fish in there, you know? Kind of
They also have to create a sense of scale in comparison with the giant.
Exactly. So then maybe I can even do something like this where I'm thinking, you know, oh, you know, like I could use this fish to kind of like create perspective. So maybe what I do instead is I take these darker fish right here, and I kind of just take this guy, and now I'm kind of just messing around with it, and I'm saying, oh, you know what, I want to put in like that, and where it's kind of like coming through. So now you have two perspectives kind of going on. You have one kind of going in the Z depth like that. You know what I mean? And then you can have that kind of maybe going all the way around. And then maybe too, you know, as we're kind of drawing this, I say, oh, you know what? Those ones that are further back here, they're going to have light, you know? And so now we're kind of messing with that Z depth. And so these are the questions that you want to be asking yourself. And that's why, like, when you're doing these, the inspiration and a lot of the drawing stuff this is where the battle is won, in my opinion. So like if you get to all this texture stuff and the composition wasn't good to begin with, you're messing up, because that means to me is like you spent so long like rendering it out and doing all these things without really kind of being like, yo, like, is this like the right idea? And again, had you done this with like okay texture or whatever, I guarantee you it would have been way better if you would have put like half the detail there but a better composition. So that's kind of where like I would say you want to really be like you want to really be a lot smarter about like how you're doing stuff. Like being a designer is mostly just about being like smarter. It's not about being a better painter. It's just about who thinks more, like who's just more clever about stuff, who has more information that they can use. So real quickly, Sarah has a question here. Off topic, how often do you get to do blue sky environment paintings in your concept artwork as opposed to props, orthographics? It just depends where you are in the pipeline. So, I mean, if you're in the beginning of a project, you'll be doing more blue sky stuff, figuring it out. And then once you get into production, you'll then be doing, obviously, more props, more stuff to kind of help the 3D artist. So it usually just depends where you are in the pipeline of the project. So if you are in the very beginning and they're trying to figure out ideas, you get to do a lot of crazy stuff. And then usually as the scope gets more and more condensed, you have to do a little bit more stuff that just helps your team, whether it's helping your animators, helping your effects artists, helping your 3D modelers. Like right now, for example, on my game, I'm just doing like skins and all kinds of just random stuff to help the team out. But in the beginning, I was doing all these kind of blue skies of just what it could be. But again, as the scope gets more condensed and it has more polish, you're just finding ways to be more productive with the team. So Real said, super helpful. Thank you. I feel like I learned a lot. Well, thank you. You gotta thank Kevin. That's Kevin right there for giving this little piece right here, this little nugget of information.
I just wanted to say before I finish this feedback that it's important to don't be afraid to, like, quote unquote, steal from other artists. Like, you have to steal in the right way. It's important to make it clear, but don't be afraid. Like, they have mostly all these like great artists like Liu Chang and Old Masters. Like, they already figured out the composition, so you don't have to start like rediscover the wheel. I don't know if that's an expression in English. It is.
Yeah, reinvent
the wheel. Yeah, you don't have to do that like all the time. Like, you can focus on one thing and like kind of use the help of other artists with their composition and to kind of mash it up all together to create something new before you like start to create your own from scratch compositions. I've been doing this like all the time, like looking for great artists and old masters and movie makers and movies and photographers and all that to kind of steal from all of them, and to have this skill, as Kaylin was saying, is to like be able to solve problems. You have all these tools, and just get good to solve problems using everything you have at your disposal.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of just, again, I've been very lucky to have been well traveled, where I can just like, I can remember something that I saw in my travels and be like, oh, that's what I want to use for my inspiration. And then they're like, yo, how'd you do that? And it's like, I'm not necessarily like a better painter. It's just because I just have more of a kind of a visual library to draw from. And so it's really, really important to like build that visual library. So that means, quote unquote, sorry to say, but going outside, I know it's hard for a lot of you artists because you're all introverts and y'all want to stay in your house, but like but you got to go outside sometimes, man. And God forbid, like, talk to people. I always say that like it takes a village. Like, a lot of my skills, a lot of things that I've learned over the years have been from just other people, like different walks of life, different cultures, meeting different people. All those experiences will help your environments, help your characters, help everything in general. And so you have to kind of go out, put yourself out there if you want to kind of keep learning, keep building that visual library. On a technical side, though, one thing you can do is 3D. And so 3D is always a great way to kind of figure something out. I do it all the time. So let's just say, and I apologize now to you, Kevin, because I'm probably going to do everything the wrong way.
I'm modeling right now. If you want, I can share my screen and show the whole set that I'm modeling here.
Oh yeah, sure. Hold on a second. Let me just break this down real quickly.
Oh, you're gonna quickly model the aquarium?
I'm gonna try to. There's no. Actually, you know what I gotta do first is I have to let's do an inset. Oh, I didn't do it right. Hold on a second. There we go.
Dude, just create a cube and boolean the whole tuno,
I just want to do it like the, like the non-destructive way. I don't know. I'm kind of like, having learned 3D in game school, they're always like, just, I don't know. You know what I mean? So, edges, sure. Actually, it doesn't even matter that way regardless. You know what? Never mind. Let's just go to Kevin here. Like, I could do it that way, but it's be stupid. All right, let's just go to Kev. Kev is the man when it comes to sharing some stuff here. We're gonna go to Kev on our Discord here. And how do I make this bigger? Cool. Yeah, there you go.
This whole set model. Like, so
Did you model
Now
all that?
I can.
God damn.
Yeah, I model all that from
Wow.
scratch, like no pit bash.
Yeah.
I can like figure out a lot of different compositions here. I can do like a top-down type of shot here with the characters going in. I
Mm-hmm.
can have a close-up and the entrance with the character here, or I'm probably gonna be focused on this one. Centered and the character looking straight up to the entrance, and that also the what we were talking in the last feedback, the value structure, having those like
Mm-hmm.
highlights and your darker darks to readability and all that. So using 3D, I mean, I would 100% advise everyone to learn uh, what is composition in a little bit of perspective before like going to 3D, because you can kind of get lazy and too dependent on 3D in
Mm-hmm.
a way. But later on down, it's amazing tool. Like everyone is using. It's super fast. You can like create entire scenes and you know just play with it. It's super fun. I love it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So what Kevin showed there is like obviously that master level here of doing stuff. And so what I'll just kind of show real quickly is just kind of the basic level stuff. And this I do this sometimes every once in a while when I want to kind of just break something down in like a very interesting way. And like but I don't want to like get too involved with all the details, right? So I have like a nice little cylindrical piece here, and I'll just extrude the vertices down, I guess. And there we go. Cool. So I have this nice little thing. I'm going to expand it. And so yeah, this would actually be like my little cylindrical thing, right? And then what I would do is I'll make a nice little plane. I will bring it down. And all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to like make it a little bit whoops. Oh, I didn't do. There you go. Whoops. Oh, I have to make a parent. That's dumb. Okay, it's all good. Anyway, so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to just stretch it out a little bit. And like that. And I don't even need this to be exact, but all I'm going to do is just like do this. And I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm just going to like, I'm just going to just turn it a little bit as I go, right? Just very, very simple, in hopes that I can kind of find like a cool, maybe a cool like composition here just to kind of see. So there we go, right? And we'll make this guy like really, really long and stuff, so we're good. And then I'll go in there and I'm just like, cool. Like that's what I can figure out from that perspective, is I can figure out, well, do I want it kind of there? Do I want it light? Do I want it to kind of to the right side? What do I want the perspective to be like? So you can figure out a lot of cool things just like that. And just like that, you can figure out this little piece right here, which is like really, really hard to figure out actually. So if I screen cap that and I bring it back in here, what I just figured out from that actually was how I would want the ground plane to be. So right now, our current ground plane is kind of a square. And so it looks like this, if I were to draw it out. Right? My current ground plane is like that. It's very, very basic. It's going into perspective. And it's not bad, but it's very, very straightforward. But this one is really cool because what I'm seeing is that it goes to the bottom of the picture plane. And then it kind of like rotates. Whoops. It goes here, 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 there. And so what I just figured out there is how different that picture plane is, right? You see how much more different that looks than this one right here. So it's actually really, really useful, as I can see that if this is my picture plane, right, this is my cutoff. What I'm noticing is that the sides of the ground are going on the side of the picture plane right here. And that's pretty important to realize if I want to be able to kind of show like the proper angle. Versus here, my picture plane, notice that it was kind of just going on the bottom of the picture plane, which is right here. So now I'm like, oh, I didn't know that I can have this ground hit the side. And by the side, I mean right here. Like, so if I were to draw this, I can have it hit the side of the picture plane, which is right here, the ground plane. So boom. So now that kind of gave me some more ideas, and I can kind of keep exploring. And so I'm not doing like crazy stuff. And again, I can do it. I can kind of bring it down here. And now if I do it this way, notice that, let's see. So this is a little bit lower, but notice that the ground is only touching the bottom of the picture plane. So that's kind of nice too. And I just keep exploring. I can just kind of do some really cool things, figure out like what angles I like, and then I can kind of use that to kind of draw on top of it and figure it out. So there's a lot of benefits to doing 3D sometimes, but again, the small kind of stuff. So we don't have to get to like, you know, Kevin's level where we're doing like full on stuff.
100%,
But again, what Kevin showed though is that even though if you look back at Kevin's his 3D, there's still a really really strong silhouette there. And can we actually go back to it, Kevin? Can you bring your page up again real quick? I'd love to take a look at that. I'd love to screen cap it just so I can kind of.
I'm rendering, getting ready to paint, so I was kind of
find that angle where you were kind of like right behind it. I think it's like.
Let me just.
You're kind of at an angle a little bit. I think.
The top down.
No. You're kind of like right behind it, but this guy was like kind of to the left a little bit. I think that was the
okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Did you like that one better? I was.
This one's cool too. I like it, but
This one.
Yeah, this one's great. Yeah. So let me just screen cap this. So like, this is really really good. I think in terms of just the readability. Let me just. Yeah, so that to me has like a really strong graphical read. We have these nice lines kind of coming down here, and we can kind of take a look at it right here. We have these nice lines like that right there. Boom. That's kind of really all it is at the end of the day. It's a very simple kind of framing element, and it works really really well. And then on top of that, what we're framing here is we have this nice little piece right here, and it's boom. So we have this nice little guy right here.
First plan kind of going in.
What's up?
The pipes in the first plan kind of also pointing to the
exactly
towards the character and the entrance.
Yeah. So then now on top of that, we have all of these nice little lines that are kind of pointing inward as well. And so not only that, but they kind of like switch direction a little bit. And then on top of that, we have this nice little kind of lighting here that's kind of just really really nice as well. And so all this detail, as nice as it is, it's not really important. Like you can probably even darken this whole area up too if you wanted, and just have lighting probably right here, and everything kind of just falls out of it. But again, it's a very very simple composition. So now what we're gonna do here, just to kind of give you an example here, is let's actually take that shit, what we just did here. I'm gonna take Kevin's thing, and let's do something else, but with that same idea. You know what I mean? So we can take the same idea right here. Cool.
You're gonna do the aquarium using my reference?
I'm gonna aquarium your ass, bro. You about to get aquarium, bro. Yeah. So then we'll take this, we'll grab it, and then we'll just make it like a light value here. And cool. And let's actually go over everything here so we don't get lost. So yeah, so look at that. We had this nice thing, and I can go, oh, you know what? Let's actually use this idea. So maybe instead we're taking this and we have this nice little plane here, and we're going to kind of use it. We're gonna let's see here. Boom. Cool. Something like that. And then let's get another value on the side of it, and let's make this like a little bit lighter. Let's see. Cool. Perfect. So we'll do that. And so all I really care about is just like the proportions, right? That's kind of the biggest thing, is the graphical read. And so then maybe we'll then make another plane in the far background. So then like I'm already kind of seeing some cool ideas that could possibly be done. Yeah, there you go. Yes, sir. So then we have that right there. And now my only question is then what do I want to be, in that background? So now if we turn this off real quickly, we now have a decent composition that we can use, right? We have this, and then I'll put my character in the foreground here, and same composition, but we can actually maybe translate to something else. So instead, this could be maybe outside. Maybe it could be a forest clearing or something like that. So I'm just going to draw a guy right here. My guy with a little staff, a little staff man, because we got to put the staff man in there. And already we can be figuring out a lot of interesting things just like that. You see? So all I did was I just took Kevin's idea and his proportions, and I said, hey, you know what? These proportions are pretty cool. I bet you I could probably use it for something of my own and do something really, really cool. So now that I have this,
it can be anything.
Yeah, it can literally be anything. And I haven't even gotten to the point of like adding in some of these extra little pieces here, or adding in some of that Z depth. So maybe I can go in there now and I can say, oh, you know what? Let's add in some cool kind of Z depth in there. Maybe we're doing something where we're kind of getting some light. Who knows? I'll probably maybe unify this a little bit more and say, hey, you know what? Let's do this. Let's drag this down. And maybe what this is maybe it's like some kind of cool clearing. And that's where I begin to kind of have fun. And I say, oh, you know what? Let's it's gonna be like that, and I can start to kind of now go in there and say, oh, you know what? It's like it's chalk brush time, literally a chalk brush. My last name is Chalk. I got bars. Anyways, and you can see all these kind of cool ideas that I'm going to be doing. And I like this idea, that shape that was kind of happening. So maybe I'll even just like keep that or something, like who knows what I'm going to be pushing in here. So I feel like what I want to do here is I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh, you know what? I want to continue that, that Z depth. Maybe I can find something that's kind of cool where it's kind of going into perspective, like something like that. And then I can kind of just put some kind of structure back there, I'm figuring it out. And this is just one drawing that I'll do, and I'll probably do a couple more of them just so I can kind of really explore, what's going on. But that could be something that's really, really cool, like this could be something that could easily kind of lead our eye throughout the painting. And so now I'm kind of... Oh, what's up?
I like how you turned the lighting shape. Not you changed, but a couple minutes later you were thinking about using the lighting shape as an actual structure. Sometimes I feel like we get too stuck. Okay, so I'm using this as reference, and since in Kevin's painting the sides were like bold rocks, I have to use them as an actual element. But since you're looking to the image in terms of graphical shapes, you don't have that limitation, and you were able to think and transform the lighting shape into an actual thing, which is, sometimes we kind of get stuck in our own heads thinking that things should be what they are instead of like just thinking graphically, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. And so in my class, we do a lot of this kind of stuff where it's just, again, a lot of kind of graphical, simple statements, and like what can we make something like visually interesting out of it. And so to me, what this is, it's not perfect by any means. It's not done, but what it does is it starts a conversation of like, what can we do with this, And that's kind of what you want at the end of it, is start a conversation about the art where someone can go, oh, what would be cool? And then we kind of go from there. And so a lot of times I'll do drawings for work where like it's not like amazing, but then it gets the directors thinking like, oh, like, you know what, like Keelan did this drawing and it's like it's really simple, but like, you know what, I think we should look more into it. And then you can decide whether or not you want to invest more time into this. And so now we have an idea, and now we can work with that. And that all comes from, again, the ability to kind of like look at Kevin's work, what Kevin did to Aaliyah, right? Looking at her work and saying, oh, I can use this. There's something about it that I can use. The same way that I can use Kevin's work and say, oh, something about it. But again, what you have to have is the ability to analyze. And so in my class, we talk about analyzation a lot in terms of saying like, okay, what do I like about this painting, right? What do I like about it? Because everyone can look at Kevin's painting right now and be like, oh, it's tight. But how many of you guys can look at it, break it down, analyze it, figure out what you like about it, and say, okay, now how do I repurpose something like that and put it in my own work and make it my own, right? Not very people can do that, and it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of like iteration to do that. And so this is a really, really important thing. Again, is analyzation. You have to be able to kind of like be able to look at something, figure out why you like it, and figure out what you can take out of it. Because at the end of the day, all of us, all of our artist styles, we're accumulation of everyone that we've met in our life, you know? Like, I have a little bit of, like, you know, Anthony Jones in me. I have a little bit of, like, you know, Nathan Fowles, Jason Shire, you know, Ryan Carlson, all these people that have influenced my art. I can look at their art, and I'm taking little bits and pieces over the years, and I'm kind of making it my own. Oh, what's going on, Baka? What's going on, dude? How are you? But yeah, that's a really important thing, is to, again, don't just look at good art, but look at it and ask yourself questions about why you like it. And I think that's what Kevin did really, really well there, is that he looked at Aaliyah's painting and said, you know what, like, that's an amazing painting, but why is it an amazing painting? And he's able to break it down and go, oh, okay, like, I know what I can take from that. And from taking that, you can then get to here, right? And that's the meta. Like, that's the most important thing. So, yeah, very good stuff, Kevin. I'm really glad that you brought that up, dude. And we're gonna share Kevin's work as well, because Kevin's a beast. And this is why me and Kevin vibe, because we're thinking about the same thing. From now on, I'm gonna call it when I take your composition. I'm gonna say you got aquariumed. That's gonna be our new thing.
Yeah.
If I see, I'm gonna take something from Michael's work, and he's gonna be like, "What the hell?" And I'll be like, "Bro, I just aquariumed your ass." I'm like, "That's get aquarium." Like,
Yeah,
bro.
you got aquarium.
You got aquarium, bro. Don't get aquarium. And that's cool though too. Is that this is the big thing too, is community, right? And so when you have friends, and you have people that you can work with, and obviously in my class we'll have a Discord. You should always be constantly kind of like bouncing ideas off each other and getting inspiration from each other. So just like I have Discord with some of my friends. You can't do it alone, honestly. It does take a village. So the more that you have people like to kind of talk to and kind of push each other, the faster you'll get. That's how I got better faster, was because I was surrounding myself with really good people all the time, and we were constantly just going back and forth and just trying to kind of one up each other a little bit, but not in like a bad way, but kind of from the competition way. And a lot of times it's that inspiration, you know, when I get tired, you know, I'm just like, you know, and AJ will post some shit, and I'm like, God damn it, you know, it's so good. And then I'm like, oh, I'm really inspired, you know? Or I'll look at Kevin's stuff, and I'm like, oh, Kevin posted this amazing painting, like, I should probably do something.
Not only that, sometimes you get stuck, like, you can't solve your problems by yourself. It's always amazing to have someone to knock some sense on your head, you know?
Yeah.
Give you another perspective on things. Yeah, and of course, it's, at least for me, like, I've been as well with friends all the time throughout the art journey, and it's a lot more fun. Like, yeah, it's a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, again, it's very easy to get tunnel vision, and it happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many times where I'm painting something, and I'm struggling, and the marketer comes up and he's like, why don't you just do that? And I'm just like, oh, why the fuck didn't I think of that? I'm just like, God damn it, you know? And so it's like that one thing, and that one bit of nugget of information just changes like my whole perspective on something. And then all of a sudden the painting just happens, and it's so much easier. And so in my class, I want to try to be that nugget for you guys in terms of saying like, hey, why don't you do it this way? And hopefully you're like, what? Like, I never thought of it like that. And so Sarah said, I definitely got aquariumed. And Sarah said, I need to stop making stuff on crunch time so I have more time to get in-progress critiques from people. Yeah, I mean, try to just take your time on stuff. Don't like be soup. Don't try to do speed paintings or whatever. Like, just take your time and like really see what you can learn from other people. But I will say that half of what I've learned that I'll be sharing with you guys in my class is a lot from like what I've learned over the years from my traveling and dealing with people and stuff like that. That's kind of what I would talk about. And a lot of it's mentality too, having the right mentality to get better. So it's Arthur said, man, this is super helpful stuff. Thanks for the stream, guys. Yeah, thank you, Pendacy. Thank you, Arthur. Again, if you guys are enjoying this kind of stuff, the reason why we're doing this is we're promoting my class that I have coming up. And we'll just kind of leave this right here real quickly. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Go to Rad How To School. If you click on Rad How To School, you should be able to then go to the thing. Go to radhowtoclass.com/projects. You'll see my class right there. Share it with someone if you think someone may be interested in this. The spots are filling up, and yeah, I just wanted to give people a little taste of kind of how I think about teaching environments, stuff like that, and a lot of it is being able to analyze. It's one of the biggest things that, like, if I could have anyone learn, is being able to analyze things a lot stronger. And then with painting that will come with time. But the analyzation part is something that is like a really strong foundational thing that if you learn that, when you begin to become a better painter, when you find the right brushes that work for you and stuff like that, your work will just grow like exponentially faster, and you'll be way faster. And that's a really important thing. Is to be fast and also be efficient. So, Pendency said, I have already happily signed up. Imagine the NAB review tier. I'm insanely excited. Hell yeah. Then you gonna learn today. You about to get aquariumed all day. And I'm gonna see if we can have some people come through every once in a while. I'd love to have Kevin come through on some of the maybe in one of the weeks to kind of just like maybe take a look at some people's work, stuff like that. I definitely want to have like guest people come in and just take a look at stuff just for
that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I can always do the same for you because again, it takes a village and it's always good to have multiple people trying to look at your stuff. So so I appreciate everyone sharing the stuff. That's freaking awesome. Y'all are the goats. I appreciate it, bro.
I'm finishing this painting that we just break it down. I've finished the 3D step. And I'm rendering, so yeah, getting all the planes ready to paint over. That's basically that for now. I also have something completely different than what I used to do, style-wise. You know what? Let me show you.
Okay.
Kind of silly.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see what the man's got.
It's not. It's not an environment, but it's art. So I guess it fits.
Let me see. I'll wait for you to share real quickly. Share your screen. Are you sharing your screen or no? Or no, you're still searching.
No, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share right now.
And we'll try to do these every week, I think, too, leading up to the class, just to keep promotion and keep it fun.
Yeah. Okay, I'm streaming now. It should be.
Hold on a second. Why? Okay, here we go. We in here.
I've been super inspired by those like Chinese artists on Twitter.
Damn.
So I was trying to kind of do something. It's still work in progress. I'm not the best at anatomy and all that. I've been just focused on.
Oh snap! Wait for it. Oh, I already aquariumed you in my head. You already got aquariumed in my head.
Please aquarium me.
There it is. You already got aquariumed. Just wait for it next week. Yo, this is
Wait,
sick.
you're not gonna do it now? Come on.
Nah, dude. I just gotta save it. I gotta keep it in the back pocket. That's like.
Oh shit.
That's
okay, I'm not gonna.
That's the extra clip, That's the extra mag. That's extended mags right now. I have in the back clip,
Oh man, you have me dying of curiosity now. I'm kind of stuck. I feel okay. Let me say, I need to make she's the focal point, right? So I need to figure out how to make this first plan, which is gonna be blurred, but I need to figure out how I'm gonna do that and keep it interesting. I need to add a lot more elements there, like design-wise, the thing that she's sitting on, her clothing and render, like the clothing and everything. Mm-hmm. Also the background, the anatomy of the dragon. Oh gosh, I need to figure that out too. I think the neck is kind of in a weird shape. I don't know. And the background for sure, it's just a quick photo bash I did just to kind of feel it. Like if it was going to be like a landscape or just above the clouds, but yeah.
It's there. It's totally there. You just got to figure out the gesture of the neck. Like, I think of dragons, a lot of S curves. You just got to get those S curves to look real nice. Once you get that curve to kind of like, once you figure out what the flow is, whether it's like from like left to right and stuff like that, and then make an S curve in the background, I think you're 100%. Like, you'll be cool. And then having the foreground of the thing too, of the wing will look good as well.
Yeah, but I'm kind of, I don't know. I feel like her pose is a little stiff. I'm not sure. I feel like it's. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it.
You need to look at some more like wave runners, like a chick on a wave runner, or like a horse.
Yeah.
Wave runner, a horse, or like a hang glider. Like those are things I would look at for that kind
But
of
yeah,
stuff.
you know, I've modeled this in 3D. I'm always using 3D. Let me show you. I have it here.
And so while he's showing that, someone said, let's see, Starfishy. Yes, it will be different from my CJMA course. There will be a lot of things that kind of overlap in terms of like theory, but the way I explain it will be a little bit different. We'll be kind of focusing a lot more on overall just kind of compositional painting and the mentality that you need. But there will be some things that are kind of similar, but we're definitely going to be painting a lot. A lot of studies, a lot of compositional things of that nature. So that's what we're going for. And then someone said, Twisty, go, I'm in love with you. Please marry me. Art is fire. I think you're referring to Kevin because that can't be me. So then, Kevin, you got a fan, bro. You got a fan. Yeah, you got the ladies hit my boy Kevin up. Hit my boy Keypalette up. He's there,
Oh, shit.
They're these both single men that are dope. Okay, that's dope. Okay, I see it.
Thanks a lot, Em.
Oh yeah,
I guess.
it's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the 3D. That's so ugly, dude.
Yeah,
but
it's
again,
definitely useful
it
for
starts
people to
it starts
see,
the
so that they
conversation.
can see how you use 3D to solve
Yeah,
problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Even in
I'm
something like that.
so bad at like posing characters. Still studying that how you like pose characters on 3D.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel I should study anatomy. I should do some more anatomy studies, not only use 3D. But yeah, that's the blocky dragon. And,
One thing you can do too sometimes is hold on a second. Let me exit out real quick. How do I do that? Let's see. Shoot. How do I leave? No. Okay, there we go. Someone says looking good. Yeah, dude. Yeah, these are some good looking men right here. And some good looking paintings. What is it? Is it 3D Warehouse? What's the thing? What's that one with 3D? No, is it Sketchfab? Is that what it is?
I think 3D Warehouse has the Sketchfab models.
Okay, so one thing you can do, you don't have to download it though, but that's what you can do. Is you can go
Sketchfab is what I meant.
Yeah, is you can type in dragon, right? And so what you do sometimes is what I would do.
Yeah, that's actually really useful. Yeah.
No. So what I'll do is I'll get the angle, and then I'll screen cap it, and I'll use it as like reference. So like let's say this is my angle, like right there. I'll screen cap it, and then when I bring it in, I can use that as kind of like a nice little idea to kind of figure out a composition, right? Because now I can figure out the proper angle, and now when I draw it, right, like if I go through this, what the hell? Why can't I draw on top? Oh, that's why I don't have the right layer. There you go. So now I can sit there and I can really kind of just focus on the gesture, and so okay, this is kind of how, like, I want that, and now I can maybe figure out like another dragon over here, another dragon over there, and you can kind of just use it as kind of reference if you like the pose. So now for like above or something like that, you can kind of just go back and forth. So sometimes what I do if I'm trying to figure out interesting pose is I'll look up the subject matter that I like, that if they have something that's like a cool, like a really nice like pose, and I'll just screen cap it, kind of move it around, and I'll just kind of see like how it looks. But it doesn't always work because like the model has to be really, really strong. But sometimes you can find something really interesting. Like this one might be kind of cool. Is if you let the model load, you find that cool, like that right there. Right, I'm finding some interesting S curves right there, and I can go, oh, you know what? Like that could be something that I'm kind of looking at. So that's definitely
and even if you don't actually use the like exactly how the model is posed, it's always a source of inspiration, so it's worth 100%.
Yeah, it's a really good way to get that inspiration as well. Sarah said, I never thought of using Sketchfab to search for reference. I'm a freaking idiot. Yeah, there's a lot of cool little kind of cheats and little tips and tricks you can use 100% for sure. And so yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that in my class, but we're definitely going to be focusing a lot on just kind of simple compositional painting. And my class, what I want is, again, just to be more comfortable. Like, to be more comfortable painting that you can, like, figure out an idea relatively quickly and with ease. That you can figure out just proper edges, proper lighting. So yeah, so a lot of the things will kind of come through in terms of like my CGMA class, but we're just gonna kind of probably go a little bit more in depth in it, and I'm gonna be probably a little bit more work because it's only a 6-week course, so we definitely have to kind of put the pedal to the metal. But it's gonna be a great course in terms of like if you want just like a refresher on environments, or if you're looking to kind of just be able to paint environments just more confidently for whatever you have to do. This would be the course for you. But I think the biggest thing is going to be analyzation, just being better at analyzing stuff. That's going to be my big thing. So you won't focus too much on like the fundamentals of like the science of like you know, drawing horizon line stuff like that. It's going to be a lot more about just like proportions, lighting, good edge quality when you're painting your stuff. So we're going to go a lot into like how I paint too. That's going to be a really big thing about how I kind of make these shapes and stuff like that. So that's going to be a good one. So yeah, that's all that I have. Thank you. We'll see if there's any more comments. Yeah, hit up my boy Kevin and Keypalette. You know, they're single, waiting to mingle apparently. And thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Kevin, dude, for giving me some awesome reference, dude. Some awesome ideas. Already I'm thinking about ways I should probably like maybe adjust that first week of my course. Like I already have my notes written out and like my lecture slides written out, but I'm definitely thinking about this aquarium idea that you have.
I always say in my classes with the students, like in this class, I start the class with that, like just to kind of make fun. But I always say you're gonna learn how to cheat, you're gonna learn how to steal, you're gonna learn all the dirty tricks because yeah, like it's the approach of being smart all the time and trying to get as much as you can from everything, you know, like from life, as you're saying, like traveling and looking to things and observing and yeah, growing your visual library and also learning from other artists, using 3D as a hacking tool, let's say, to get your composition, perspective, and all that, right? So, yeah.
There you go. Baka said, bro, you, Tyler, Edlin, and Kevin are my favorite artists. You guys are amazing. Appreciate that, Baka. Dude, that's huge, man. I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome.
I'm just a newbie, by the way. These guys are the monsters.
Shut the fuck up. Don't even start with that nonsense with me, bro. I will aquarium you. I will aquarium the shit out of you. Don't start. Anyways, we'll probably do this next week. Maybe we'll figure out. We'll take a look at Kevin's painting and we'll aquarium again and we'll do some other stuff. But yeah, just look out for next week if you want some more progress. If for people that submitted their homework, submitted their work, you know, if you want to do it again and come back next week, I'd love to see what you guys have and see how you guys have kind of evolved with that. But yeah. So in the meantime, I'm going to go finish up work that I have to do for the day and probably watch the Lakers lose, unfortunately. And yeah, Sarah said, newbie, shut your mouth. That's right, Sarah. You tell him. You tell Kevin to shut his mouth. Slap it for him. And I will see you guys later. But yeah, you don't have anything going on, Kevin, that you want to promote? Nothing you want to plug?
Not yet, but soon. Soon I'll be dropping some tutorial or something. Yeah.
Snap. He said soon. And as always, again, just go to rad how to class.projects. I'm right there. Share it with anybody. This is my first time doing like a kind of mentorship class in a while, where it's, you know, a little more focused into one thing. And I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll go from there. So everyone that signed up, I look forward to seeing you. I'm still me and Michael are like busy, like getting everything kind of situated in terms of getting the Discord ready, getting the lectures ready, like a lot of stuff. I have all the information already. I have to organize it in a way that's going to be the best. So we're definitely hard at work getting it all ready for you guys. So can't wait to share it with you guys. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you Michael, thank you Kevin for coming through.